right? Good. Important to say it right because you're still new. Don't want to hurt your feelings.
No, you're fine.
Hi, Jeff Yates.
Hello. I will be monitoring the chat and the Q&A. Yay!
You're the man, official monitor of all things important.
Me too. Hi, everyone. My name's Genesis. I'll be helping Jeff on the chat.
That's great. Thank you, Genesis.
I think the appropriate thing is I'm helping Genesis answer the questions because she's in charge.
That's exactly right. Thank you, Jeff.
I just want to recognize.
The faster we get the clarity, the better everything runs. So
Good evening, everyone.
hi there, welcome. So good to see. Oh, there's our mayor. Hi, Mayor Romero.
Hi, Poonam. Hey, wonderful faces.
Just been usurped by a completely adorable little
I
baby.
know, I saw that.
Who is
Oh
that
my
little person?
goodness. How can I compete?
You can't. This is
I can't. I can't.
Oh, even now she doubled it up. Who are these amazing people?
Oh my goodness, that's awesome. Poonam, thank you so much for helping lead this and facilitate this conversation as well. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for saying that. It remains my deep honor to be a fortunate electron around your nucleus, Mayor.
Oh, thank
So I
you.
have 531, and so with baton in your hand, lead us off. There's 51 people here right now, and that's an astonishing, impressive number, and I'm sure it'll grow as we go. So where you lead, we will follow, Madam.
Thank you, ma'am. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our conversation tonight. We are very excited to have this town hall facilitated by Poonam Ahur, who's already served the city of Tucson and its resident through a different facilitation process. And some of you, I see some friendly faces and some faces that I saw during the process for the Central Business District. So some of you know Poonam. I just want to thank, first and most importantly, our city manager, Michael Ortega, who unfortunately will not be able to join us tonight because he received his second dose, his second vaccine. He's very happy about that, and we're happy that he did as well. Here, representing the office of the city manager is Tim Tamir, who's here with us. And also, I did see Jeff Yates is our business services executive director. I think I've got his title correctly, as well as my staff in the mayor's office, my chief of staff, Charlene Mendoza, Nate Siegel, my senior policy advisor. I see Genesis Cubilla, who's my community engagement advisor, Manisha Bitra, who's my planning and development advisor, Fatima Luna, who is our sustainability and climate advisor. And then who else from my office is here? I think that's that. But all of you, thank you so much. It is so important for me as the mayor of the city of Tucson, for my colleagues on the council, I will speak for them, to be able to hear the priorities that Tucsonans want the mayor and council to focus on. We, my staff and I created these town halls along with the help and support and knowledge of the city manager and the department directors in the city of Tucson, and we wanted to frame them differently. We did not want to frame it with, here's a set of departments you'll hear from tonight. We wanted to frame this discussion for the services that we provide our community. And so, you know, tonight is the infrastructure and mobility budget town hall. And we will have presentations by certain departments that have to do with that service that we provide our community, right? Infrastructure and mobility. And there will be 3 additional town halls where you can attend all of them. You can attend one. I invite you to all of them because each of the budget town halls that we have will have a service focus for the entire community to add their voices. So I don't want to take too much of your time because I know that we've prepared amazing presentations and we want you to also ask questions. There will be a question and answer section of the town hall, and we want you to participate. Give us your opinion, give us your input, and we are more than happy to listen to you all and what you have to tell us about how we serve the residents of the city of Tucson. So with that, it's my pleasure to hand over the mic to Poonam to help us facilitate this conversation with you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Romero, for not just the elegant setup, but for your steadfast leadership and for your absolute stubbornness that public matters. And so thank you for insisting on that. So welcome everybody there. You know, this is impressive. Here we are on a day when we could be doing, whoops. Are you there? Did I lose you? Oh, you came back. Wow, be careful what key you hit on your laptop. All kinds of crazy things happen, but it's all okay now. There are, I was just looking to see how many, there's 70 people who have decided that the best and highest use of their time on a Thursday evening is to talk about the future of their community and to be involved as residents and community members, and that bodes extremely well no matter what happens. My name is Poonam Mathur. I have the honor, and I'm just going to describe it the way I usually do, is I am a fortunate electron orbiting around the extraordinary nucleus that is your community. So this is now my second invitation to facilitate conversation among really caring and motivated community. A couple of housekeeping things. One, we are recording. And so it's not, you won't find a snippet of yourself on Instagram throwing shade. It's so that we can capture everything. And then ultimately, because full transparency is a high bar, the city will place this on website so that other residents have the benefit of hearing what they may have missed tonight. The chat is being energetically and conscientiously being monitored. So any questions that you have, please feel free to express them in there. If it's a fast answer, we've got 2 people, Batman and Robin, who will quickly respond in real time to you. And if we can't respond in real time to you, we will respond in some time to you, I promise. Please use the raise your hand feature if you'd like to say something, because that seems to be a good way to do it. Be mindful if you are doing lots of talking, others may be denied their chance to share. So that's an honor system. If I just say it out loud, we all are aware of it. And encourage everybody to share with vigor and brevity, because that's how we can fit 74 perspectives in 90 minutes. Let me begin with just a little bit more about why we're here. The budgeting process in the city of Tucson is underway, which means that sometime late spring, there will be a recommended budget prepared and presented to the mayor and the council. So that's our destination. Sometime late spring, destination is there will be a thoughtful, relevant budget that serves all of us who live in Tucson. As we journey to get there, to that destination, the mayor and council have declared a priority that the city manager has wholeheartedly embraced, and that is something called participatory budgeting. Not something you hear a lot of in communities around the country, but in Tucson, stuff is different. So that's what we're doing. Normally, public hearings are used for public comment regarding budget. It's regulatory requirement. It always happens. Some of you have been, we go line item by line item in very complicated budget sheets. That will happen as usual because the law requires it. Beyond that, though, the intention here is that your mayor and council and city manager are earnestly motivated to reimagine and reinvigorate this budgeting process by seeking thoughtful input from those who live and use the services. Essentially, they want to reimagine the process. Normally, these budgets are looked at line by line, department by department. What the mayor just said is they mean it. They want this to be a services-focused discussion. And that's really a redesign that's pretty fundamental to the process. So they want to redesign it. They want to build a budget based on conversations with the community about services to get a better handle on the services that city residents want. Once we know what we want, we can then figure out how to afford it. So we back into a budget, right? So that's a flip of how it's normally done. And simply, they want the budget ultimately to reflect the priorities, the service priorities of the residents, and then build a customer-centric, resident-centric approach to the entire budgeting process. Sounds real easy. It is a bold, audacious, and courageous step. I work with municipal governments, many of them, and I can tell you, no one I've ever seen has done this like you are. All right, so here we go. And to be clear, just want to level set expectations. We won't achieve a full transformation into a participatory budget process in a single 90-minute Zoom meeting, but to achieve a journey that ultimately engages residents in discussion of services as a way to build the budget, it is a journey. Today is a profound first step in the right direction. So let's talk about budgeting in general just for a minute. And I want to just take it down to our own lives, because I think we all bring a ton of experience. I want you to summon that life experience that you bring. It happens in our own budgets. It's complicated, a set of considerations that I contemplate in my own budget. I can't afford everything I want, and so I make very thoughtful trade-offs. That is how we operate. I sort between my must-haves and my nice-to-haves. I have basic cable, but I have in my own life chosen not to get all of the premium channels. Those are the kinds of decisions I make. I think carefully about whether I choose to finance things or whether it's better to save up and pay cash for those things. I consider the needs of every member of my family. For example, I've got 4 kids. When they were younger, I needed a minivan with a lot of cup holders. Now that they are grown-ups, my life conditions have changed. I now can afford to spend less on a smaller car. I don't care how many cup holders I need. I make decisions to balance my desire to buy new things with a responsibility that I have to maintain what I've already got. Right now, I am thinking through whether I should replace the carpeting in my house or redo my backyard. Eventually, I need to do both, but I need to sequence them because I simply can't afford to do both at the same time. Those are the kinds of considerations that all of us apply. On the income side of our lives, if we want to buy more than we can afford, we've got 1 or 2 ways to do that. We either cut something of what we're currently spending on, or we find a way to get a part-time job or generate additional income. When it comes to our community, it's exactly the same thing, right? City budgets are simply the same principle as we apply in our daily operational budgets in our lives, scaled up. They're just more complicated, but the premises are the same. They're just big versions of individual budgets. So please bring your life experience, bring your budget expertise, bring the complexity and the thoughtful approach that you bring to your own budget to this conversation. So that's the why, right? Mayor and council want this budget process to be participatory. We want thoughtful input really around the services as a way that staff can then back into the preparation of the budgets and the dollars to deliver the services that the citizens want. So here are the goals for our conversation today. 3 goals. 1, we want to build from your voice, your perspective. Someone has got to, there we go. William, there you are. Hi, William. Would you mind just hitting mute? There you go. You already did. Thank you. Thank you, sir. So we've got 3 goals for the session. 1, we want to benefit from your voice, perspective, experience, ideas, input, all of that. The mayor and staff are listening very hard. We've got department heads, department staff from several departments, all because they're really motivated to just listen and learn. The second goal for today is to learn. City staff is going to learn a lot. We hope you do too. And so part of that is that let's level set what services we're talking about so that we can make a determination about how badly we want more of them or less of them or different of them. So there'll be some presentations so that we operate with a shared understanding about the services that the city currently provides. Third objective, goal for the day, is to advance equity. The mayor and the council and the city manager are deeply committed to advancing equity in everything that City of Tucson does, including this budgeting process. I want to take a quick sidebar at this point to just land quickly on, let's get clear about the definition of equity, because sometimes it sort of flops in and conflates with equality. So I'm just going to share my screen really quickly. Oops, can someone enable me to share, please? Whoever's the boss of us. Andrea, is that you? I am the host now. She did it. Thank you. All right, let me go to the PowerPoint. Whoops, okay, so I've jumped ahead. Let me go to my first slide. There, you see that one? So this is equality. Equality is very simple. I give everybody the same thing. In this picture, the thing that I'm giving to advance equality is a bike. It is the same bike. All four of my people on my screen are getting the bike. Now take a look. Is that bike going to work equally for all four of them? Equality means I give the same thing, irrespective of who I'm giving it to. That's equality, right? What the city is motivated around is equity. Equity says, I want you to have mobility, but I'm going to give you the bike you need. That's equity. And so when we talk about city services, that's the difference. Services mean we could provide, here it is, here's the lemonade stand, come one, come all, receive the service. What the city is challenging itself to do is to say how in 2021, given the diversity and the richness of our communities, how can we continue to evolve provision delivery of services in a way that achieves equity? That is not the same bike to everybody, but the bike that honors and meets the needs of each individual person. And here's just another way to look at it altogether. On the left is equality. I give everyone the same thing. It is a box. It's the same size box. Everyone gets it. That's equal treatment, called equality. Next one, equity. Everyone gets what they need to be able to experience the thing. In this case, to see the ball game, the person on the right needed 2 boxes to be able to get to see it. Person on the right needed 1 box. Person on the left didn't need a box. So that is equity. It's a different allocation of resources to achieve a desired result. Someday, the aspirational part of the slide is the one on way on the right that says, when we achieve justice, here's what it will mean, is we will have removed the thing that caused the inequality and the inequity in the first place, right? So let's take the example of poverty, for instance, right? So as we talk about government services, on the left, equality would suggest that I give the same thing to everybody and hope it works for them. Equity says, no, 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 I will give to people who have higher or different unique need, what they need, which also then means that some others may not get anything. And justice means someday we have removed from the equation poverty, so that it now is no longer a discussion that has anything to do with equality or equity. We don't need it. So just to level set. So as a third, it is a very high priority. So I just hope I didn't waste your time and tell you what you already knew. I hope that's the case, but just want to level set that those are the three goals for today, right? To hear from you, to do a little learning all around, and to advance equity through the budgeting process. Turning now to the how, we're going to do that in 90 minutes. Here's a quick flyover of the agenda. As the mayor mentioned, the topic that we're going to concentrate on today is infrastructure and mobility services. There are 3 specific topics within that focus area. The first is streets and mass transit. The second is IT infrastructure and smart cities. And the third is parks, infrastructure, and mobility. So first, we'll hear from city leaders on each of those 3 topic areas so that we can learn and operate with a common understanding of services. Then we'll have a chance to ask questions of the presenters so we can all get clear about what services we're discussing. Next, we will take a survey where we'll ask you to prioritize the importance of the various surveys, of the various services that you've heard about. Then we'll take another survey where we have you prioritize not just the services, but with consideration for the budget impacts. And then finally, we will engage in wide open discussion that I'm hoping is going to be at least 20, 30 minutes. So that's sort of the how we're going to do it. So the why we're here, it's all about budgeting, participatory budgeting, the why we're doing it, and then how we're going to achieve it. So let's get going. Any questions about any of that? Few, it says your facilitator, and let's get going. So again, the focus tonight, the subject focus is infrastructure and mobility services. What a catchy title that is. And our first topic is equally pithy. It is streets and mass transit. So the first, to help us learn about the services that are offered currently is Diana Alarcone, Director of Transportation and Mobility. Diana came to Tucson a couple of years ago from the East Coast, brought with her a quarter century of private and public sector experience. She is essentially responsible for moving us around town. That is what Diana lives to do, from policy and planning related to that, to street maintenance and traffic engineering to parking and regional transit, and so on it goes. She and her team have been working really hard to create a multimodal transportation network in Tucson that gives opportunity to bicyclists, pedestrians, transits, and vehicles. So Diana, welcome, and please take it away.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. And Lane, I think you're in charge. So if you can throw the slide up, I can just jump right into this. And I loved how you led in with my job is to move us around the city, whether it's by car, by foot, by bike, by train, by transit, by any type of mode. But what's most important about me moving you around town is moving you safely. So I'm waiting for the slide to pop up real quick. So once it gets in, I'll start in real quick with what all I want to talk about. But I am going to jump in first and talk about our roads and the condition of our roads. A lot of y'all in neighborhoods are pretty familiar with the condition of our roads, so I'll expand on.
Oh, Diana, can you unmute?
I'm unmuting now. Okay.
And now you should be host. Apparently, I was the weak link.
Oh, I understand. So
Diana, can you please make Lane the host?
am I the host now?
You are
You
now. 'cause
are, and
I
we'd
just
like
did that.
Lane to be the host.
Okay, somebody needs to walk me through that because
Find Lane, and there are 3 little dots in the top right-hand corner of her head. Or
Okay,
actually,
hold
the
on.
bottom. Click on the 3 little dots. And it should
Thank
now
you.
give you the ability to make her host. There we go.
There we go.
Nothing we can't handle, peeps.
No, I
do it
just wasn't
together.
familiar with that. You can tell I've never hosted a podcast before. So
Now you know.
I learned something new. I always told my kids if they learned something new, they could go home. But I am home. So, all right, next screen. All right, so, oops, back one more, Lane. Can you go back a little? So currently right now, I'm gonna kind of dig in and share with you. There we go, perfect, thumbs up. So this is really showing the condition of our streets today. As you can see, our major streets, which are mainly our collectors and arterials, such that would be your Speedway, Country Road, those streets are arterials and collectors. We are currently right now, about 58% of them are in what we consider poor to failed condition. And then if you look at the next chart to your right, those are your local streets. Those are all our neighborhood streets. Those are the ones that you pull out of your driveway and you hit. And right now we're actually between the 2 of those, they're right around 85%. So this is a projection that we have out until based on FYI 2023. So this is where we will be in FYI 2023. Well, I want to share with you, Mayor and Council actually approved in a few meetings back an additional $14 million to go toward our roads. They've asked us to put that directly into local streets. So that is something we will be working with each one of the wards in the next fiscal year of applying an additional $2 million on top of what you as voters have already approved, which is Prop 101. And you can see from there, that's $100 million road improvement, 60 million to arterial, remember Speedway Country Club, and then 40 million to go toward our local roads, which is meant to be done over a 5-year period. So next year, we're looking to spend close to 20 million, 8 million in local and the 14 million. So we'll be putting 22 million, roughly actually more around 25 million. And I'll explain that a little bit further down of an investment will be going into the local streets as we move forward. We're responsible for over 5,900 lane miles of maintenance of the roadways. And by the time we get done with the roads, we do expect we would have touched over 900 lane miles through Prop 101. Year to date, what we've delivered so far is we've actually made improvement to 159 lane miles on the major roadways, and then about 64 to the local roads. Next slide, please. There we go. So one of the things that we kicked off in February 5th of 2020 was our Move Tucson initiative. And this is our overall planning program of making sure we deliver mobility choices. So one of the questions we asked in the survey, and just to share a little bit with you, we actually received over 4,500 surveys, and out of it, we got over 6,000 projects. So we've got some great input from the community. But one of the things that really stood out is 58% of the surveys did say we wanted to support a balanced transportation and mobility system. And so what goes into a balanced transportation mobility system? It's including looking at crosstown mobility. It's doing it through sustainable practices, making sure that every mode is safe, looking at improving the walkability, the biking, and also our public transportation options. And another real big initiative as part of a balanced transportation is maintaining our infrastructure that we have and improving it. So we're really excited. We had planned on having this plan pulled together and ready to take back out to the public in the fall, but unfortunately COVID got in the way, and we wanted to make sure we heard very well from our community what they wanted. And what we really, once we took all this information we collected, it's narrowed down to 4 topics, and that is safe modes for all, maintain the infrastructure we have, be efficient with what we have. So looking at that crosstown mobility and what's the most efficient way to build it out, and that's not necessarily with widening roads. And then look at improving the current modes of choice that we have on the roadway today. Next slide 3, please. So bicycle and pedestrian infrastructure plays a very important role in all of these modes. Just a little bit of background information is in our current existing infrastructure, we have over 600 plus miles of bikeway. That's your bike boulevard, your protected buffer bike lanes, your greenways. Anytime you want to move on a bicycle, that's your bicycle infrastructure. We also have about 130 hawks up, and those for folks that aren't familiar with our hawks, that's really a button that you push, stops the traffic and gives a priority to the pedestrian moving across the street. And it's shown to be a very safe, effective mechanism. And we have over 130 of them in our city. We would love to add more of them as we go. So some infrastructure needs that we are looking, that we need is we want to continue to expand our bikeways, and we need to do that through low stress bicycle facilities. We want to continue to improve our sidewalk, our mobility, our connectivity, and moving on your feet. And also making sure we're addressing the accessibility of that for those folks that might be disabled. So we want to make sure that that's a part of our infrastructure improvement. Prop 407 is going to kind of help us get there. In Prop 407, there's that the voters approved actually, and we're kicking off this year. We're really quite excited. We actually have completed 1 mile of it so far, and we're going into construction next week. Yay, with more projects I'm really excited about. 52 projects in total. It'll be $91.7 million. By the time we're complete with it, it'll be 138 center lane miles. And what that means is you're looking at just one side of the street. So when you do both, it's looking at the total. So that'll be 240 total. 18 miles off street path. So that'll be like your greenways and those initiatives, shared use paths. 106 on-street bike facilities, so adding our buffered bike lanes. And then we're also looking to add 14 miles of that pedestrian safety, walkability, accessibility as well. So some really exciting things that will happen. I also want to talk to y'all about $25 million going to be invested next year in our local streets. One of the things that we're going to be doing is before we make any improvements to Prop 407 is we're actually going to be improving the roads. So we're not going to be making traffic mitigations to poor condition roads. We're actually going to improve the overlay of the roads, do the traffic mitigation tied in with the pedestrian and bicycle 407 plans, and then we'll move forward. So next year, roughly 25 million, a little bit more than that, is going to be invested in improving our local roads. Next slide, please. So mass transit, another really important mode to discuss. I'm very excited to share with y'all this past November, we actually began our first on-demand service. We're actually leading it in the country, and we're the first in the state. We opened up our own demand, and this was actually led through with one of our ward offices. Councilmember Lane Santa Cruz said, hey, I think we can do a better job. And so we really sat down and dug into it and decided if we actually took one street, one particular route, straightened it up, and then use the on-demand service within that area, we would be able to actually provide better ridership. And you know what? It's working, and it's working great. So that's a new avenue we're exploring. We're going to continue to push it forward. ADA service, our paratransit, is another real important part of our transit operations. We're really excited. We have seen a drop in the ridership due to COVID, but that is now picking back up. And as things open, we're looking for that to return back to business. Some other avenues we're looking into, and that is we're looking into what was referred to as bus rapid transit or rapid transit. And that's where we're looking at being able to move expeditiously along a certain corridors. So Broadway's one avenue we're looking at. Ajo's another area we're looking at. Irvington is another street that we're looking at. We're also looking at Oracle and how we can connect down to the airport. All of those are really essential opportunities to improve our transit operations and provide that what we feel is missing. So we're really excited about as we move forward with that. And those require new tools, and that's some of the pictures you see up here. We have a real-time app now that we offer. We're actually updating our maps to make sure we're aware. And of course, we want to continue to push everyone to please wear a mask when they're on the bus. We are practicing CDC guidelines, so we're doing safe distancing, masks, and we're constantly cleaning the buses, so there's no reason for you not to try transit. And one of the last things I kind of want to jump on is we are looking, the mayor and the council has challenged us to go to carbon neutrality by 2030. And it's a challenge. I'm up for it. I'm up for it, Mayor Romero. And we're shooting for that. And that's where we're going. So we have actually last year, we kicked off our first electric bus. We are adding 4 new buses to our fleet. We were successful in a grant, and we'll be adding another 5 in the very near future. So within 2 years, we'll have 10 electric buses on our fleet. And we're also leading the state and the country in large electric bus activity. So again, we're kind of leading the pathway and setting the example of what the rest of the country can do. And then one other last option is our Sunlink. You know, that's been a vital economic engine for our city. It's been $2.8 billion worth of economic growth. So we are going to also be exploring the opportunities, and that's been built. All of this has been built into our Move Tucson initiative. So we are looking at how we can explore the streetcar option and make that available as well. Next slide, please. So this is the last slide I want to talk about. And this is a really exciting slide for me because this is where we have a lot of opportunity for growth and movement without expanding our roadways. And that's just through traffic signalization. Right now, majority of our traffic signals actually move based on the timing sequence. So if you've ever noticed you're sitting at a traffic light and you can't move, it's because it's set on a 3-minute time cycle, and you're going to sit through that 3-minute time cycle no matter what. We're looking to move through using smart technology, what we refer to as smart city technology, to adapt to signalization. And what that allows us to do is actually move to real-time operation. So you ask why maybe we're moving to real-time operation. One, it'll improve efficiencies through the intersection, so more capacity can be on the road and move. One of the things we heard in our Move Tucson is they wanted more efficient cross-town movement. Well, traffic signalization and moving to adaptive signalization is one of the ways to get there. But what's also great about adaptive signalization is our cars are all extremely smart and have been built that way with computers since 2015. We can at some point actually have the signalization talking to your computer saying you're moving too fast, need to slow down, the light's going to turn yellow, and it'll slow you down. And what that'll do, it's going to reduce the amount of crashes that we actually happen on our streets. Last year, we had the largest number of fatalities occur on our roadways, and we don't want people to die. We want everyone to arrive alive. Yeah. So this is going to be one of the initiatives that through adaptive signalization, using that smart city technology, we're going to be able to help everybody move quickly and efficiently at a safe speed across town and reduce the number of crashes that occur that lead to a fatality. Next slide, please. So this is really a great picture. It kind of reflects the connected vehicle I talked about, where the traffic signal will talk to your car about the efficiency of adaptive signalization, about how this smart city communication can all work together. But really, I couldn't do this if I didn't have the help of my IT department helping me get to this smart city using this technology. So it is with a great pleasure that I get to introduce Colin. He's our IT director, and he's going to kind of share with you some of these smart technology initiatives, not only for my department, but for other departments in the city. So Colin, I'm turning it over to you now. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Diana. And Colin, before you come on, that was wonderful. And you got a whole lot of high fives or fist bumps. I don't know what the chat equivalent to those things are, but there's a bunch of them in the chat for you. So Colin Boyce is our City of Tucson's. He's actually, on his business card, he's the Chief Information Officer. But what you need to know is that he's actually a technology evangelist. That's really what he is. He brings 15 years worth of experience. He and his team spend all of their time thinking about how to leverage technology to help the city deliver services to everybody better, cheaper, faster, more equitably, and efficiently. Take it, Colin. We see your lips moving, sir. You better call your IT department.
How about now? Can you hear me?
There we go. We can hear you now, sir.
Next slide, please. Okay, so smart city technologies. Diana, can you wave if you can hear me? I just want to make sure I'm heard. Perfect, thank you, Diana. So smart cities, right? The smart city ecosystem has been overused for several years. And, you know, Smart City 1.0, as I call it, was basically technology for technology's sake, right? We were doing stuff across the country because it was cool. Smart City 2.0 was, well, the city had problems that we wanted to solve, and so we went and deployed things with it. Smart City 3.0 is resident, and it's resident focused. What we're looking at doing is enhancing the quality of life of our citizens in order to help you do your jobs, do the things that you need to do, and get faster responses with the things that you do on a day-to-day basis. So the inputs that we're looking at, right? The inputs from the residents, you call in, the mobile portal that we're building out, the web page, surveys that we're doing, and eventually all of these things will be delivered on a My Tucson City portal. And we're taking all of those things that come from our residents that are telling us about their #1 challenges. And then we're taking the information from the departments, right? And we're taking resident information, department information, and we're coupling those two things together and building this framework inside of an analytics platform. Finally, what we're doing now is, here's where the smart piece comes in. We're taking things from sensors. So we're truly a smart city because we're using all of the information at our disposal, the crowdsourcing from our residents, the information our departments have, and then this new technology that's coming in, analyzing it, and we want to optimize our service delivery. So things that we're talking about actively today is smart watering meters. So a water meter that, you know, we don't have to drive through your neighbor to collect it. It's sending that data in real time to our systems. And if a main breaks or a drip system breaks, being able to explore what it would be like to alert you so you don't wait until the end of the month to be able to address a problem. You know that it's a problem and exists. A, it's a win because you don't have the high bill and the frustration with it. B, we're not wasting water. Smart parking. There was a study that shows that 17 hours a year is spent trying to find a parking spot. If Diana and I are partnering together and we're able to put smart technology in place, we can cut that time down substantially, where you pull up an app and it tells you where your parking spot is, and you drive up to that parking spot, reducing the time. Air pollution, right? Every city is looking to become more green, and tying this into the traffic signaling network that Diana talked about, we can start to influence decisions. So pollution is increasing because there's a lot of cars idling in the area. Being able to turn those lights green and being able to move things faster through the city, right? So the goal is to make it faster, cheaper, easier for our citizens going forward. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So in the pandemic, right? The pandemic brought this unique circumstance where we were able to invest in a lot of the technology that we had on our roadmap, but we needed people to be able to work from home. So what we did when we started to prepare for the home thing was we invested heavily in communications and collaboration software, computer hardware and software to get people mobile. workflow optimization and electronic signature security upgrades were done. And I'll be happy to tell you that Tucson is actually ranked in the top 10% cities as far as cybersecurity is concerned. We are considered a secure city, and we're not resting on our laurels, but we're continuing to develop and work on what we're doing from a cybersecurity perspective. And then we upgraded a ton of software, and that allowed us to do this work from home thing and be able to deliver services in this unique way in the middle of a pandemic. And how did we get there? Well, when we started off phase one, we wanted to get hardware to the people that had critical job functions inside of the city. And then we got them the necessary software. And then we invested in tools for e-government, cybersecurity. And then finally, we looked at the things that were non-critical, but they were value adds to the citizens. And we started to add on to that. This budget cycle, things that we're looking at. We want to right-size the technology, continue to right-size the technology to meet the organizational roles. So if somebody needs to work from home from time to time, we want to be in a situation where we can do that, right? The next pandemic, the next disaster should not be a problem. The need for centralization and standardization of hardware across the city is something that we need to do because we realize, and the IT, it took us a while to wrap our arms around because a lot of siloed procurement was taking place. Transition from work from home to work from home, the answer to that was basically you had people that was steady state inside of the office and we needed them to go home and be able to work so they were safe from the pandemic. I'm answering a question that popped up on the chat. IT functions outside of IT. So there were small IT departments outside of IT in different departments and they were managing technology. And role confusion became confusing. People would start to do certain things on one side and they were going against what city policy was across the board. And so we wanted to wrap our arms around that. Centralizing the purchasing. So we got a lot of requests with, hey, Colin, I need a mobile phone when the pandemic arrived. And we couldn't help them in the IT department. We had to reach out to them and say, hey, look, we have to place an order on your behalf. And it was a tug of war. And we figured that out in the middle of the pandemic. Cross-city communication. So 2 years, what we're doing in the city of Tucson was impossible, right? We couldn't do it, right? Teams, and now we're debating whether we should be using Teams or Zoom, but now it's so prevalent in our world that cross-communication and cross-collaboration is now the norm inside of the city. And, we're happy to be leading the charge with that. Supporting individuals that working from home is challenging still because we don't know if it's Cox that's causing the problem or it's CenturyLink or whomever. And so we get frequent complaints about challenges and we want to continue to be able to work from home if we need to and be able to come into the office and manage both environments. And then once again, additional security and backups became critical. And I want to spend 30 seconds on the backup on the security thing. Security was or is one of the biggest investments we started to do before the pandemic and during the pandemic at the city of Tucson. And the reason why we did it, candidly, I'm a citizen. I live within city limits, and I want to make sure that my data is secure. I want to make sure that your data is secure as residents that depend on us. And the reality is, we are hoping to continue to drive towards excellence in both what we're doing from an e-government self-service perspective to cybersecurity. We want to basically be citizen focused. Next slide, please. So we did this massive project where we were looking to provide connectivity to folks that are in a digital divide. And I'm going to share a personal story, right? I was in New York around the time when the pandemic started. Unfortunately, my mother-in-law had passed in February of last year. And the city made a decision. They said, hey, look, we got to go work from home. And when I was out in New York right after, a few weeks after the funeral, my kids were teleschooling. And it hit me, what happens to the people who don't have internet connectivity because they're on fixed income or they can't afford to do it, whatever the challenge is, how can we help them to do it? So we initially started off this project and we were hoping to get 19 square miles of the hardest hit areas inside of Tucson based on service. And we changed technology and we were able to cover 36.91 square miles. The city of Tucson is the first and largest deployment of a wireless network in the country. I have sat through, we're the 33rd largest city out of 318 of them. I've had larger cities from Illinois, New York State, reach out to us and go, Tucson, how did you do this? We want to learn lessons from you. And so it's been a treat that Tucson is now on the map as an innovator in technology. How did we get there? Well, we looked at these hard hit zip codes and we partnered with the school districts, and the school districts were amazing. We connected with them and we were able to use them to help with the distribution of devices throughout the community, and they did an amazing job doing it. Well, you'll be happy to know we're also planning for phase 2. So we have about 870 residents that are connected. We are looking to connect another 1,200 residents in phase 2. And the ideal behind that is it's going to give us another 57 square miles. So we'll be right around 94, 95 square miles when everything is done. This network is going to drive not just the connectivity to citizens. It allows us to get wireless in buses, which we're testing right now with a couple buses. We have some employees that are city employees that are connecting this way, and in a more secure way, they're connecting to the city infrastructure this way. We're starting to test with IoT devices, which think of that as the traffic signals and the sensor network to be able to detect smog. We're able to get those things connected to the network, and we can pull that data in a meaningful way and start to make decisions. We're partnering with the Parks Department and with Diana with how do we get regular Wi-Fi so you don't need a specialized device in your home where you could just connect your computer to it and browse the internet anywhere. And then we're looking at being able to connect city vehicles with it. So the really amazing thing, right, is covering 94 square miles will be somewhere close to 70% of the city will be covered by our signal, helping us to reduce cost in the future. And so the idea now is, as we put things inside of parks, next slide please, as we start to put technology inside of parks, we have this amazing partnership with the Parks Department where we're looking at implementing a single portal where you can book your events for recreation. We're looking at a single app that you can now look and say, hey, I hit a pothole in Diana's universe, or there's something going in the park and I want to get request services. We can help you doing that, and that's all in the hopper. And ultimately, parks having Wi-Fi and strategic Wi-Fi is the future, I think, in many cities. You know, Wi-Fi everywhere sounds great, but it's a pain in the neck. But the advantage is, imagine you go to a park and you're watching your kids play and you need to pull up and send a quick email. You can do that from your device and do it. And so the Parks Department and the IT department, as well as many of the other departments, are partnering to enhance citizen services, from how you schedule events, how you report problems, utilizing services, and for security and safety. We're doing all of these things as a partnership together. Next slide, please. And so here I hand off back to the Parks Department so they can talk about the partnership they have with the infrastructure group. Thank you.
Colin, thank you for your technology genius and for your evangelism. Are you all able to hear me still? Just want to make sure I'm heard.
We can hear you.
Great. Then let me just now turn it over. Our next topic is parks infrastructure and mobility. And here to give us a download on that is Laura Hemway, Director of Parks and Rec. She joined the city on January 10th. So officially, I've done the math, officially today marks the first day of her 3rd month on the job. That's not even a quarter of a cake. While new to Tucson, Laura is no rookie. She's a seasoned professional with 17 years of expertise. She earned the position through a nationwide search, and the city manager at the time he hired her said it was her blend of technical and interpersonal skills that won the day. So let's hear from Laura. Welcome home, Laura.
Thank you, Poonam. I really appreciate it. What a nice intro. And also to my counterparts, to Diana and Colin, thank you so much for everything that you've done to literally pave the way for me to then now introduce parks. I know probably off the initial thought, you wouldn't think infrastructure and mobility when you think of parks. But really at the end of the day, green space, open green space, and parks provide a lot of connectivity within cities. And that definitely is the case here in Tucson. We have 130 parks, which covers 3,336 acres of land, and that's quite significant. And we serve all ages and abilities. And really, at the end of the day, if you asked me to break it down to what is our core service, it's delivering smiles. We provide you access to outdoor space, access to programming, and parks have been proven to help you from a mental, physical, social, educational component, no matter what you choose to do in a park. So when it comes to what Colin was talking about and smart cities and the benefits to residents, where we really start to maximize that, especially in the Parks Department, is what he spoke to, easy access to programs. ActiveNet is a software that rolled out just a few years ago here that allows individuals to be able to register for classes, whether it's outdoor classes, art classes, music classes. I mean, and those are really cool things that we can make available. And we have removed that barrier of having to drive somewhere to register, that you can go online, see what's available, and register instantaneously. Due to COVID, another thing that this department learned how to do very efficiently and very quickly was make sure that we kept a lot of our infrastructure projects that were already in motion and transform the community engagement to an online format. In fact, right now, coincidentally, there is a community input process going on for a park project in Ward 1. And so what you see here is just a sample of survey results that are collected for feedback from individuals that want to tell us how do they use their parks, what do they want to see in their parks. As we look at improving parks, you know, how do we shape them to make sure that they're fitting the needs of our residents? And we've been able to master that through teams, through surveys, digital surveys, through our social media engagement. And I think that that's really important, and it's a lesson that we have learned that we will carry forth with us even as we reopen, continuing to combine the balance between online engagement and in-person engagement. There certainly is a lot of value from being able to meet with you directly in a park and see and witness everything that you enjoy and love to do in a park and would envision. But we will be continuing to do a lot of our online engagement consistently, because it has helped us to document and make a lot of data-driven decisions when it comes to delivering back to you what you want. Next slide. So 2017, there was a passing of a bond, Prop 407, also known as Tucson Delivers Parks and Strong Connections, of $225 million of various number of park projects. Some are renovation projects, some are brand new items being brought into parks. And I'm really happy to say that to date, 45 projects have been completely done. And that has included resurfacing basketball courts, upgrading sports lights, delivering a new splash pad, 5 new playgrounds complete with shades, and basically improving the overall infrastructure that is within a park when you visit it. And one of the things that I'm proud of is that despite COVID and some of the challenges that would have provided, the capital team was able to keep the motivation going and keep a lot of these projects on target and continue to deliver them. Currently, we're lining up to doing a ribbon cutting for the Buffalo Soldier Memorial over at Quincy Douglas at the beginning of May. And on March 22nd, we're going to be cutting the ribbon for the new pickleball courts at Udall. So all of this is investment back into parks, investment back into the quality of your use of parks. And it all comes ultimately from public input that we get as we're putting these projects together. Next slide. So one of the things I wanted to highlight and that I've been really focusing on in the first 2 months that I've been here is pedestrian and bike access to and around parks. The map that you see over on the left is really looking at something that's a concept. It's a national concept called the 10-minute walk, which really is considered to be the baseline deliverable that every city should target. And the reason why we've prepared this particular map is to allow us to focus in where we have the highest area of need to prioritize either adding parkland to our inventory, adding connections to our inventory, so that we can make sure that whatever means that you want to access a park, you have that ability to. I think it's great that Diana and I are on the same presentation tonight, because Jefferson Park is a really good example of a roadway project that converted into this really neat pathway over on Grant. I think it's Grant and Campbell. And I walked it a few weeks ago, and it was just really cool to see. I saw people walking their dogs and kids riding their bikes. And so it was an opportunity to take something that was happening on the road and make it a new recreation opportunity for the public. And that is really the synergy that all of us are highlighting through all of these town hall meetings. You're going to see a lot of different directors that are coming together to talk about the same project. And I think that that is something that we can really celebrate, is that we don't act in silos. We're all working together towards a lot of common goals. And so while you may not think infrastructure and parks or transportation and parks, there is that overlap. People love to run, walk, bike, love biking. I live close to the Loop. I love that there's 8 City of Tucson parks and public spaces that have direct connection to the Loop, which I know just last week got highlighted and was nationally recognized for what it has brought a value into the Tucson area. So those are things that are to be celebrated and that we continue to focus on. We have some connection projects that are going to allow better connections to parks. And I've listed them here really quickly. They're not all of them, but I didn't want to just fill a bunch of words onto a screen. Really what I'm here to do is to hear the feedback, because I'm still in that learning process, right? I'm learning about parks, I'm learning about my staff, I'm learning about the needs, but I'm at the same time advocating for money for parks. And so the best way for me to make sure that I'm directing those requests the right way is in this format, in this setting, because I'm going to pay attention to what a lot of the feedback that comes from you all as we move into more of the public engagement here. What are you advocating for in parks? How would you like to use your parks better? What connections do you think needs to be established? Do you walk? Do you bike? Do you run? How do you spend your time? Who do you play with in parks? So those are a lot of the things. I'll tell you really quick. When I did my intro to my department on the first day, I told them I'm going to ask 1,000 questions, and then I'm probably going to ask 1,000 more, because that's pretty much how I learn and how I commit to memory what the priorities and the needs are. So I want to thank everybody who did choose, because it is a choice, to carve out time to be here to participate and to not only listen to what we have to say, but to provide us the feedback. This is only as valuable as much as you put into it for us to take away. So with that, I just want to say thank you so much. It's been a very warm welcome to Tucson so far. I've really enjoyed the experience, and I love being part of the community. And so with that, I will turn it over to Poonam.
Thank you, Laura. I think she's going to do fine. We just got to get her through probation, right? Or whatever, whenever that is. Okay, so we're gonna stop here and want to make sure what we wanted to do was to make sure that 3 key topics were presented so you got an idea of what the services are. What are we currently doing? What are we thinking about? So I want you to clarify by asking whatever questions you've got of the 3 presenters. This is the time. Raise your hand to let us know. There's been lots of amazing conversation in the chat. Clearly, there's a bunch of bikers in the house. One of you actually proclaimed yourself a bike evangelist. I saw that, a bike evangelist, I guess is the correct pronunciation. So if you've got any questions, we have them here, and they are anxious to make sure that they have conveyed in a way that makes sense to you. So if you've got anything else that could help them succeed, please. Okay, well, they're not leaving, so it's not like you can't ask them again, but that's good. You know what it says is the 3 of you. Oh, wait, we've got one hand up. Pamela, is that you? Go ahead. Pamela Cook. Foreign, I see your hand up. Ruth, how about you? You've got your hand up. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I'd like to get an update on the grant expansion. What's the status of that?
Who would like to, and the grant expansion, who wants to field that one?
Could I ask a question back? Ruth, there's a lot of grants, so which one in particular are you speaking to?
Whatever's not done. I mean, you're supposed to be going to Swan. Expanding's already been done. Is the first or Stone that's been completed. So from whatever's been completed all the way to Swan is supposed to be expanded according to the RTA. So all that's left.
Oh, okay. So I'm assuming you're talking about grant. So I'll give you a quick update on the grant project. So we do have phase 3 and 4 that is at 99% design. We plan on finalizing that and putting it actually out to bid this fall for construction and be moving into construction this fall. It is a 21 to 22 month project. We have begun design work for phase 5 and 6 of grant. It is only at 30%. We just actually met with the grant task force. We're taken to mayor and council at the next meeting for an extension of the grant task force for phase 5 and 6. We took a design back to them for consideration for grant 5 and 6. They've asked us to do some public outreach. So we are now setting up some public meetings that we will be holding in the next 2 months, and then going back in June to the task force with the outcome of those public meetings before we move forward beyond the 30% design.
Great.
So phase 5 and 6 is actually in the last 5 years of the RTA project, and that will actually begin in FYI 23.
Thank you, Diana. Thank you for the
You're
question. Pamela, we saw your hand up first. I'm going to give you a second attempt. And I want to keep coming back to you because your hand is still up.
I don't see a way to raise a hand, is there?
Yes, if you look, if at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you should have a bar that's got several options. One of those should be a little hand that looks like this that says raise hand underneath it.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. I don't see it, but I have the question if you're ready.
Well, you got 6 in front of you. So hang on, I'm going to get to who is talking.
Paul G.
Got it, Paul. Okay, I'm going to make a note. And if I forget, you're going to remind me. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
But what I can't see on here is who came next. So I'm going to go to Ruth because I think I remember seeing her name. So Ruth, is it
I'm
right?
done. I asked my question.
Thank you. Can you just put your hand down? Super. Patrick, I think I saw your name next. Patrick McNamara.
Hi, yeah, quick question. On Sarnoff by Jesse Owens Park, there is a lot of car traffic, and I'm interested in petitioning for some sort of speed control for traffic through there. How would I approach that?
Great question, Patrick. So Laura, do you want to field that? Or Diana? One of the two of you.
So can we repeat the question? I'm sorry, I was reading all the good stuff in the chat room and not paying attention well. So I apologize, my multitasking skills were faltering there.
He
So-
wanted to know
Time,
the,
Patrick.
the process of applying for a speed table to be added adjacent to Jesse Owens Park on Sarnoff.
Oh, perfect. So actually you can, I'll throw my email address into the chat box. You can shoot me an email and I will hook you up with Jesse Soto, who is our neighborhood coordinator, who actually will will send you all the information you need to kick that off and what it would take to make that happen. How's that sound?
Thank you.
Thanks for
You're
the
very
question,
welcome.
Patrick,
Thank you.
and thanks for your interest in keeping us all safer. Pamela Cook, I'm coming back to you. Pamela Cook for Ann. Are you there? All right, moving on. I'll come back again. Joan Mueller, how about you? Let's hear your question.
I have a question about the disabled people.
Okay.
Nothing really has been mentioned about access and disability. I have difficulty walking, and those yellow things all over the place really disrupt me with walking. Now, Colin was talking about access and IT. Is there any sort of sensor that can be put in to get rid of those yellow things so that I can walk more easily?
So Diana, I'm suspecting you are the boss of the yellow things.
I'm
So-
not the
I
boss
know-
of them.
But
I know that they're used for the blind, so they can access, but they're all over the whole ramp. I have to avoid those ramps because with the cane, they throw my balance off. I can't put the cane down, and they're so difficult to walk on. When I use the wheelchair, I can't even wheel myself over those things.
right, thank you.
It's very difficult. I mean, when you plan things, do you even have a disabled person testing the things that you use?
That's the bullseye of equity, Joan. Thank you for.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
you're sharing your
I
experience.
mean,
We all
Lara
know.
was talking about the 10-minute things for access to the parks.
Yeah.
Is she having disabled people walk them to see if they're accessible?
Yeah, it sounds like more of a comment than a question, Joan. Am I hearing that correctly?
Well,
They are both.
both. I'm just.
So what would a person do?
So I wish I had control over they're called truncated domes. And I wish I had some control over them, but I actually have to meet federal guidelines. So
Right.
I will tell you, it has been a conversation at the federal level
Right.
about changing some of the design standards that they require us to build to make
Right.
it more accessible. And there is a very strong organizations that are involved with the federal government in
Right.
developing those guidelines. And truncated domes has been one of those items that we have been having the discussion
Right.
with. I'm not sure where it's at. The last time I had read up on the conversation, which was about 9 months ago, they were still intact as currently designed. So we are building to that federal guideline, which we are
Right.
required by law.
I
But
do understand that.
I will throw this to the Federal Highway Administration so that they can throw it up at the federal level. And I actually was
Right.
on the phone with them today, so I will shoot him
Okay.
an email and
That
let him know
sounds
it
like
was
I'm
raised
gonna
in
keep
our
us. I'm
town
gonna
meeting.
keep us moving. I'm gonna keep us
I
moving.
was wondering
Joan, I
though,
want to say.
if
Sorry, go ahead.
Colin I was wondering if Colin had any ideas on that, though, if that could enter into it in the future
Well, here's what I can tell
with
you.
this sensor technology.
You have surfaced this issue.
Right.
All the city staff that's on this call has heard you. So thank you for
Right.
that. And
Thank you.
yeah, so that's what it takes is we get better because people say stuff. So thank you for saying stuff. Pamela, I'm coming back to you, and this is your last and final offer. Are you there? Pamela Cook for Ann. Nope. Then Hannah, I think you've been so patient. Thank you, Hannah. Glaston.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity. One thing that I would like to say is that with all of the technology and all the different things that are happening for the Hawks and things like that that are very good, I have had an opportunity to cross Speedway at Treat with the crosswalk the other day with 2 toddlers in a wagon, and had someone well after the walk sign shoot through the crosswalk. So my concern is that there is budgeting available for public relations, basically campaigns, to alert the public, this is what we have. This is the behavior that's needed. This is how, when you see a stop sign, I've seen so many people have no idea. Do they stop when it's red? When do they go? They're not familiar with how hawks work. And I think we need a really aggressive public campaign for things like that and other things as well. Just similar to the pandemic, I think we're starting to understand that we need a lot more public relations, public campaigns, billboards, things on television, door-to-door, flyers, everything that you can think of in order to alert the public about a lot of these new things that we will be seeing, which are wonderful, and I'm happy about them. But we have to have money available in order to communicate it to people.
So you have just set a flawless segue for the next section. I am, and I apologize, Alonzo just raised his hand. Paul, I said I'd come back to you. I'm going to now move to the next thing. We're flat run out of time, and I want to get the survey complete. We've got some time for discussion, so if it matters, we're still going to come back to what you've got on your mind, but let's keep moving. And I think, Hannah, you just set up the perfect segue. So here's what we're going to do now. We're going to do a survey, and what we're going to see, what will come up. Where is the, so is this showing up for everybody's screen, or is this a way in which?
Yep, we're here. So there's the menti.com at the top. And the code we need to put in is 9821-0627.
So you can do this on your phone, is that it? Or open another tab on your desktop?
Either one.
So
Either one will work.
The first survey question, so you want to go into a browser, either on your phone or on your computer, and it's www.menti.com. And once you're there, insert code 9821-0627. And now you're going to be in there. What you're looking at is a list of 11 services that we have been talking about. And what we are asking you to do is to take a look at these, and based now only on your relative importance, the relative importance that you place on that service, rank order them from most important to least important. All right, so let's see what you said. You are still saying it. Good. It is an impressively large number. There are 87 people, and then there's another 20, 25 on Facebook, I understand. So Hannah, you see why it was such a good segue? Because you actually mentioned one of these topics. So to someone on staff, do we have any way of knowing how many respondents? Oh, down at the right, I see it, 23. So we know it won't be all 87 because city staff is not responding. This is just for residents. But I do want to see a number higher than 29. Actually, let's let Mayor Romero tell us when we should call it a conclusion. We've got 33 respondents so far. It feels to me that we should have at least half, if not more than that, right, of our attendees.
Are selections still coming in?
They are. We're at 40 right now. Yeah, it's a long list, so I want people to. I'm happy that people are being thoughtful. Thank you for being thoughtful. And if my voice is annoying you as you are trying to be thoughtful, let me apologize for that.
I'm loving seeing how some of it is changing.
It is.
But keeping track, I want to let everybody know we're keeping track of those top 3. So even if your top 3 has dropped a little bit, we're definitely noticing.
So we're at 42, 43. So it's now slowly inching up. 44. 45. It's kind of like a Heinz ketchup
Oh,
commercial.
wow. Well, that's great.
Feel my.
I think that's a good return, right? It's a little bit more than
Yeah, much better than half. Well,
half.
I'm not sure how many city staff we have, but there's, I don't think much work has happened at the city because most of the staff is here. Yeah, 46 sounds like a good number.
Yeah, well, it looks like so far the improved maintenance of existing roads is first, which we have heard vocally as well. Being at the receiving end, I've heard improvement in terms of maintenance of roads. Expanded options for biking and walking is very close to what we heard with the Move Tucson survey and community input process. And the third looks to be improved mass transit, Sunvan, Sunlink for public transportation. So people are very, very interested in improved maintenance of what we have in terms of roads and streets, expanded options for biking and walking, and improved mass transit. Yeah.
So
A
again,
close fourth is improved parks and amenities at parks. So
and if there's sort of a natural break after 5, right? So if just for fun, improve parks and amenities of parks, and then the final was improve safety for all modes of transportation, which is exactly what Hannah was talking about too. So because there's sort of a natural break in the top 5.
Yep.
And then they go to, so this is awesome. So what we've just done here is recalibrated a budget conversation from the line items and siloed departments to services, right? So you have now fairly clearly given direction, guidance, and prioritization, which is immensely valuable to the city staff who lives only to try to incorporate and manifest what it is that you want. So that's been really important. Now, here's the second part of it. It's easy to look at only services without the complexity of considering the investment required, right? We talked about budgeting, and ultimately it's the budgeting process. So there is a second question that you're going to see, but I also, can we not share simultaneously, Charlene, here? Can you?
No, we can't. I'm sorry.
Because what they're not going to get the benefit of is the, so I've done a little chart with the dollar signs, but I didn't think for a minute that they wouldn't be able to see it simultaneously.
Yes, we did not. So we'll have this worked out for our next town hall. I think we can just explain though.
Yeah, let's go through it. So let's put the second question out. But before you start, so what you're going to see here are 8, not 11. You just ranked 11. What you see here are 8 services. 3 of the 11 were simply merged or collapsed into one of the 8. So all 11 services are still reflected here. That's one thing I want you to know. But it's a shorter list. It's 8. But what I need you to do, because the technology just didn't allow us enough time, is as you think about improved maintenance of existing roads and streets, next to that, it would require like $2 signs. I'm just giving you a code, right? For improved safety for all modes of transportation, that would be like $1 sign, just in terms of the order of magnitude of investment required to do the thing, right? To afford the service. So I'm not sure how to do that. If I give you, jot them down if you can, wherever you are. I'll just give you, in the order in which you see them here, I'm going to give you the code, which is $1, $2, or $3 signs, conveying small, medium, or large investment required. Fair enough? So the first service, improved maintenance of existing roads and streets, is $2 signs. It would be a medium-sized investment. improve safety for all modes of transportation is $1 sign. It would be a smaller size investment to afford that service. Third, expanded option for bikes, for biking and walking are $2 signs. It's a medium-sized investment. Fourth, improve mass transit and expand streetcar. That's a $3 sign item. It's a bigger price tag, right? That would be a larger investment. Next is use smart traffic signalization to improve traffic flow, $3 signs. Enhance smart metering to increase efficiency and safety, it is $2 signs. And the last one, enhance digital customer portal, is a single dollar sign. So sorry to have made that so clunky, but the technology just, we ran out of time in getting it put together, because I want you to consider the magnitude of the price tag as we now, again, ask you to prioritize, right? Because when we do our own budgets, it's not just the thing we want, it's also the thoughtful layering in and trade-off considerations that we go through in our own budgeting process. That's what we're asking you to go through here. And so remember, if I pick, big ticket items, that's fine. We're allowed to pick big ticket items. In our own budget, it might mean that I got to cut somewhere else, or I may have to get a part-time job. As community residents, if we want to afford it, great, we can choose that, in which case we may then need to have an open discussion about what kinds of taxes are we willing to pay to be able to get more of the services that we want, right? The choices are ours. The discussions need to just be had so that we can collectively give the mayor and the council the guidance to do what it is that we desire. So we've only got 28, because I probably just confused this so much by tossing in all those dollar signs. But so again, the big ticket items, I'll give you the threes, that is the improve mass transit and expand streetcar. So just look at that again. If that is a high priority of yours, look at it again. It's a $3 sign ticket. It's a big price. The other two items on this list that are also similarly large investments are smart traffic signalization to improve traffic flow and improve park amenities and expanded park space. So those are the ones that are the three, they're the large investments. Improved maintenance starting at the top. Medium investments are the first and third on the list. Improved maintenance of existing roads, expanded option for biking and walking, and then second from the bottom, smart metering, which many of you got very excited about. And then the smaller ticket items are the second and the last one, improve safety for all modes of transportation, and the last one, enhance digital customer portal. The curiosity here is you made very clear the services that you want in the prior question. The question now is, knowing the magnitude of investment, does that change your prioritization, right? That's really all we're looking for.
Yeah.
That's the guidance. And what I see here is apparently not much.
Not much, yeah. What I do see a little bit more than the top three, than the top five, is that improved parks, amenities, and expanded park space throughout the city is coming in at third. And it had come in a little bit lower in the previous.
Yeah.
So that is moving up.
So Shirley, could you just remind us what the top three were previously in the first question? Oh, perfect. Oh, she did better than that. Improved maintenance of existing roads. So that was number one. Expanded options for biking and walking. That's two. Improved mass transit. That's three. Improved parks. Park space throughout the city. That's four. Improved safety. safety of modes of transportation is 5. Okay, and now bring back up the new result, please. Thanks, Charlene. Thank you for your flexibility, all of you lovely people in Tucson. This is what happens when you're being like going where you've never gone, is you're not sure how you're going to get there, but we know that. Okay, so the highest priority here, there's a tie. We've got 40 respondents, so I think we're good to start to draw some conclusions. Your top two, both at 34 responses, right, are improved safety for all modes of transportation. Improved safety is tied with improved park amenities and expanded park space throughout the city. So what was tied for number 1 in the first response were your 4th and 5th priorities. Just interesting, right? And then in a very close second on this prioritized list is improved maintenance of existing roads. And that was a solid second, like a close second. It was the number 1 in the prior question. It was your highest priority. And then moving from there, we go to expanded options for biking and walking, which was second choice in the prior question. And it is third choice in this question. So what you're really saying is that you're well aware of the investments that are required and the services really matter to you.
It tells me also that the community here giving us input really is interested in investing, in putting a big chunk of investment in parks.
Clearly.
Right? So if they have to split up $1, they want to put more of that dollar in parks throughout the city, as well as improve safety for all modes of transportation, and then the streets.
That's how I would interpret it. So now let me turn it over to all of you, right? Those of you that felt really strongly about parks as a service, even knowing that it was, you know, a $3 symbol item, it still mattered to you a lot. So let the mayor and the staff of the city hear from you how you look at it. Because here's how it's sort of coming across is, we care about the service. It matters to our quality of life and our families. And we understand that there may be large price tags, and we are willing to be in conversation to figure out how we afford it. So anyone who felt strongly about that wants to make that case better than I just did.
About getting money to afford better priorities? We have a good idea.
There you go. Hi, Paul.
Hi, how are you?
Patience. It's nice to finally hear your voice. Thanks for your patience.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I just wanted to say this is an excellent example of how to use Zoom software to engage with your public. We really do feel we're attending the meeting. So thank you so much. This has been a great experience. I had just one question for the technology person, and that is, why is he looking only at wireless access for that kind of connection to the homes that need it? Because wireline access, which is available for multiple providers, actually provides a much more secure, faster, safer alternative all the way around. And I think you should do something that's technology neutral and try to serve all the people with the best connections they possibly can get. That's what's most needed. Are you looking at wireline connections as well?
Well, clearly you need to have Colin's email, and he needs to have yours. That is clear. Colin, are you still there?
I am still here. The reason why we did not look at wired line from a city perspective is what we're looking for is a project that was a dual win. So by providing wireless technology and allowing that, it allows us to get somewhere close to 50 megs per house. And it also allows us to connect to smart city infrastructure. If we pulled fiber to every house, we would not be able to do the smart city initiative. So it would not be a dual win, and it would be laborious on the taxpayers. And then from a security perspective, the security that we're doing is actually quite good. So if you want to, we can talk through the logistics of what the security profile looks like. I could be reached at Colin, COLLIN, .Boyce, BOYCE, at TucsonAZ.gov. I would add that what we're looking at is very much strong, so much so that there's telecommunications companies that are reaching out to us to find out how we built what we built.
Well, I can understand why it's a benefit for the telecommunications companies, of course. But what I am saying is that for connections that are up to a gigabit per second, you get that through wired, which is much, much higher than 50 megabits. And so the problem is that obviously it's not quite as good.
For those of us that totally got lost at gigabits, now you are in a level of detail.
1,000 megabits. 1,000 megabits is a lot higher than 50. 1,000 is a lot higher than 50.
Colin, I'm going to ask you to put your email in the chat. So just make it easier in case Paul didn't get it. And Paul, encourage the conversation. This is good discussion.
Thank
you.
you.
I'm going to move us on. Thank you, Paul, for your patience, by the way. Okay, so it is now 1 minute till 7. So we clearly are going to have 3 more of these budget town halls, and we're going to really work on the cadence of our timing. So let me wrap it up because we want to respect your time, because that's how grateful we are about it. So if you wake up tomorrow morning with an idea, as always happens to me, here's the thing. By the end of next week, the city will have on their website the ability for you to express any additional input, suggestions. It just is still under construction, so that accessibility will be there. And because you've all registered to be here, the city has your email information and they will make you aware, right, Charlene? I just want to make sure I'm committing something that we will deliver.
Yes, that is 100% true.
But you will get a follow-up email saying it is ready to receive any additional comments. So when you think of them tomorrow, write it down, jot it somewhere so we don't lose it. And then please submit it when we can. There are 3 more budget town halls. Today literally was the first step. We made a little history together, which is why maybe we didn't operate quite like a synchronized swim team. A little bit of splash, which is fine. We're going to smooth it like crazy. We've got 3 more. So here it is. We want to invite you to come to all of them because they're going to be different topics, right? Invite neighbors, friends, colleagues. Community conversations are most robust when there's lots of community folks involved. So bring one, bring all. Here are the dates. Saturday, March the 20th, 10:30 to noon. They're all 90 minutes, starts at 10:30 on a Saturday. The focus is on climate action and adaptation. That's what we'll be talking about. There's information that you're looking at now. Specific services that day we'll learn and discuss and prioritize our green infrastructure, water, waste management and sanitation, and environmental sustainability. Following that, the following Saturday, March the 27th, again at 10:30 for 90 minutes. That focus that day will be on community safety. And the specific services will be housing, courts, fire, police, and 911 communications, and community safety pilot program. Then the final budget town hall will occur on Thursday, April 9th, 5:30 p.m. And that focus is on resilient recovery. Services that day, economic development, workforce development, open space and placemaking, and infrastructure and wellness programs. So those are the 4. Come one, come all. And it is now 6:02. So I'm sorry we don't pay overtime. You are all here because we are so grateful. I just want to tie it up with as much gratitude as I can squeeze in. I want to say to Mayor Romero, to the council, to the staff, thank you for your authentic commitment to contemporizing a really antiquated budget process and including us, the community, as collaborators. So on behalf of the public, we yell at you a lot, and we probably might continue when we get mad. And we are deeply grateful that you are collaborating, allowing us to be meaningful participants in this process. To all of you who took 90 minutes, now 92 minutes, of what I know is time that you can deploy in many other ways, I want to say thank you. Your ideas matter, your inputs are invaluable, and your choice to be here demonstrates so clearly how deeply you care about the community and the future of this community. It is a big deal. And again, I work with communities and cities beyond Tucson, and I will simply talk about you to your faces. The intention that you have to do things right together and for the benefit of all is not is not an intention I see a lot of places. And then your boldness and willingness to take the action to make it happen just sets you completely apart. So I end where I began, which is to say I'm one really grateful electron around your awesome nucleus. So thank you. And then Mero, you get the last word.
No, I just want to thank everyone. This is not the last chance and opportunity to give us your input. There are multiple ways of giving us your input. You can attend the additional town halls. We have been taking notes. We have note takers, making sure that we're taking notes from your chat and the conversation that's happening there. We will provide all of you that attended and provided your email an opportunity to give you a link so that you can continue giving us input. We do have call to the audience at our mayor and council study sessions and our regular sessions, not the study, the regular sessions. And I just want to let you know how important your voice is to myself, to our city manager, to our city team, and to, I'm sure, the rest of the council. So keep it coming. We hear you and we value your opinion. Thank you, Poonam, and thank you all so much for your input and for being with us today. I really appreciate you spending time with us. Thank you.
And I'm gonna just stick around for another like 5 or 10 minutes. For any of you, one of our mantras around the City of Tucson staff is good news fuels our souls and constructive feedback fuels our improvement. That is why we cherish both. So we are officially off the clock. But if any of you would like to give us feedback, input on how this could have been more useful to you, how this 90 minutes could have been more helpful to you, I'm going to stick around for 10 minutes and I'm just going to write it down so that we can incorporate it and be better the next time. So for any of you that want to, if you don't, no offense taken, our self-esteem won't be crushed at all because we're so grateful that you were here for 90. So happy Thursday evening.
Thank you. Have a wonderful evening, everyone.
Thanks for being here.
You.
Well, I'll give some feedback. I thought this was excellent. I thought you did an excellent job today.
Thank
with the
you,
group.
Paul.
They
Really
felt,
appreciate it.
yeah, they really felt included, and I think asking for their opinion was important. So really good job.
Thank you, Paul.
That's
Thank you for joining us.
That's a good news that fuels our souls. So we cherish that. Anything that we could have done to make this 90 minutes, clearly the technology, we've just got to get the finesse in the technology. So that's under construction. What else? Was there enough information in the presentations? Were they too long, too short, just right? Did the facilitator talk too much, too little, just right? Was there more background that would have been helpful to you? Was there?
Went a little long in the numbers mean this and the numbers mean that. And, you know, we just have to recognize that these are small samples. You need about 100 or more to project anything.
Absolutely.
So, you know.
Yeah, there's no, we're not holding up for a survey methodological award because I won't win one.
Right. But for the most part, it was just great. I mean, you're very positive and, you know, I have nothing but praise.
Thank you.
Well, that's great because I made you wait like 35 minutes to get a word in edgewise. So thank you, sir.
I guess, sorry.
A couple of hands up. So that's great. AS.
Yeah, that's me. I did not mean to cut you off. I just thought this was really wonderfully run. I really appreciate it. I would like to acknowledge that I love that you put some equality in whether people chime in, you know, using our voices versus the chat, because I know a lot of people are really comfortable in one versus the other. So I loved that. The presentations at the beginning were really important background, although I did feel like I would have liked to have chances to hear from people at the end, because I was saving my comments and constructive feedback for the end and we ran out of time. So maybe making that survey portion a little bit more streamlined, especially the second question. And the last thing was just, I thought it was really interesting that the technology ranked low. And I wonder if that's because of the people who are in the room. I assume a lot of us have technology at their homes. So, you know, it's always really hard to think about who's not present, but how that might be influencing your results. And I would just say props to Pedestrian and Bike Ped. They always seem to get their people in the room. And I was so happy to see Parks and Open Space like getting up there because that's my priority. But thank you.
And that it was not lost on you that Laura actually was doing this. So she was watching the survey results come in.
Me too. All right, thank you.
Never
That's all.
be a poker player, but she is one awesome Parks and Rec director. Thank you. That was rich. Thank you. And to the point you make, which is such, what is your name, by the way? I see.
Oh, yeah. It's Amanda. I have so many Zoom accounts that.
Amanda, I don't know the solution to how do we get those who aren't here.
I
Because
know.
technology, when we're using technology as a platform, we can all acknowledge, and it's technology, and we're having a conversation in English. Let's just acknowledge both. And so immediately in Tucson, for those that don't have technology or may not be comfortable in English, we're not as inclusive as we can be. So I don't know how to do that. But if you've got anyone that you know that doesn't have technology, invite them over to your house. Let's do a little group party. There are
Yeah.
three more. There are
I
three.
do. Yeah. I will just say, I think that the leadership under Mayor Romero has really leveled up in terms of public outreach. And I do want to give applause to that, even though there's always room for improvement.
That's right. That's right. Thank you.
Okay.
And Josh, you've been so good. I saw you busy in the chat. So there you are. Hi, Josh. I'm excited to hear your voice.
Folks tell me I'm opinionated, so I just would like to share my opinions.
Good, good.
I do want to acknowledge the city for having this process. It was very nice to be able to sit in on this Zoom meeting at the home. I was making lasagna in the kitchen, but you guys didn't see that. So I would like to comment, say, I think we got lost in the weeds a little bit on fiscal details. I do think it's important to lay that out for us. Yeah, just a little bit too lost in the details to get towards to get towards a public comment. It's a town hall. From what my understanding of a town hall, it's we're here to gather and express our opinions as the people of the city. And we were definitely able to do that in the chat, and I do appreciate this extra 5-10 minutes at the end. Something that means a lot to me personally as a young person that I just want to hit on, and I mentioned in the comments, is that I think that the city needs to do a better job at centering climate change, as I call it, climate collapse, because that's the age in. We're past the time of climate change. But I think we need to be centering that as main focus to really address these issues and solve these issues. Because if we're not thinking about the long-term goals of mitigating and fixing climate collapse, then it's a moot point. And when I'm an old man, I can't breathe clean air. So that's my comment. And with that, I'm out of here. And I appreciate you all. Thank you so very much.
So Josh, mark your calendar, Saturday, March 20th.
I already did. So, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. You have a nice voice, by the way. It's nice to hear it. Andrew.
That was your hand up.
Let's hear from you. Andrew. Oh, Andrew. Andrew Rule is in the house, sort of.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can, sir. Go ahead.
I have serious concerns with providing free internet access to citizens. It's a cybersecurity problem. Or I'd like to hear a comment on that.
I don't know if we have Colin with us, but he would be able to comment on the cybersecurity concerns.
Yeah.
Oh, here he is. Here he is.
I am here. So I think that the statement, it's a cybersecurity concern, is kind of a blanket statement. So if you want to share what your concern is, I provided my email address. I'll be more than happy to sit down and we can schedule an appointment. But saying it's a cybersecurity concern is blanket statement and doesn't provide any specifics. And I would also say that not understanding what we did, I don't know how you can arrive that it is truly a cybersecurity concern. So I think maybe we sit down and we reason it out together and we see how you feel at the end of that conversation.
And Andrew, Andrew, I just wanted to let you know that Colin did drop his email address on the chat. You do have it available. We would be more than happy to listen to your concerns and then make sure that that Colin or anyone in his staff can help us find the concerns that you have and see if we can alleviate them.
Yep, I saw it. I'm a professional. I'd like to talk to him.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you,
I'm
Andrew.
also a professional. I can tell you that in the 4G and 5G technology, there is a well-known impersonation attack that's at the user layer. It has not been addressed by any of these companies. And so clearly a wireline access is much more secure than any wireless access. I have the link I'm going to send to Colin so we can read about it.
Great. Again, I just got glazed over as soon as I heard 4G, but I'm glad that I'm glad you're going to connect to Colin, and thank you, Colin, for having your. I think you win for having your email address most frequently referenced in the chats. Anything else?
I did see Vanessa Gallegos' hand up. I don't know if she still wanted to speak.
Sorry, Vanessa. I don't know how I missed you. Where are you?
Hi, good evening. Buenas noches. I'm Vanessa. I just want to thank you all for this wonderful opportunity. It was a great way to engage considering the circumstances. And I just want to say thank you so much for continuing to support the free transit right now. I think that's super important. In any way we can move forward to making it permanently free, future. I think it's something doable and something we should all strive to look forward to. So I just want to thank our mayor for continuing to support that, as well as all the great, wonderful improvements that are being done to the South Side. I just wanted to add some positivity to this on top of all the beautiful comments that are being said here tonight.
Vanessa, you have brightened it with positivity. Thank you. Anybody else? So we're like the gang at Cheers. It's going to be there till closing. It is now.
I'm super impressed that people are just hanging out. I think people just want to, we can bring out the wine and just have a great conversation. I'm going to have to go. My family just got here and we're going to have dinner, but I really appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Love the input. And this is not the last one. We have 3 more. So please invite your friends and join us for those 2. Thank you, Poonam. Thank you, everyone, so much.
To do something really kind and loving for yourself and one other person in the next 24 hours. That's my challenge. And we'll see you, hopefully, and we'll see you all on the 20th of March.
Thank you.
Have a wonderful night. Thank you so
Buenas
much.
noches.